You jump in your car, turn the key, and the engine just endlessly cranks over without ever firing up, leaving you completely stranded in your own driveway. Or maybe it does manage to start, but it runs terribly rough and misfires violently every time you touch the gas pedal. If your code reader spits out a P0385, you are dealing with a critical malfunction in your crankshaft position sensor B circuit. To understand why this tiny little plastic sensor can completely paralyze your heavy vehicle, you have to look at how modern engine timing actually works. Your powertrain control module, or PCM, desperately needs to know the exact physical location of every single piston at any given millisecond so it can fire the spark plugs and pulse the fuel injectors at the absolute perfect moment. It gets this crucial, high-speed information from the crankshaft position sensor, which sits perfectly stationary while watching a toothed metal wheel, known as a reluctor ring, spinning attached to the engine crankshaft. Every single time a metal tooth passes the magnetic tip of the sensor, it creates a sharp electrical pulse, usually a 5-volt square wave. When the computer suddenly stops receiving these rhythmic pulses from sensor B, or the signal gets completely scrambled into static, it becomes totally blind to what the engine internals are doing. It immediately shuts down the spark and fuel delivery to prevent catastrophic engine damage, which is exactly why your starter motor is doing all the work but getting no reward. The very first thing you need to do is hook up your scan tool and watch the live engine revolutions per minute data while you try to crank the engine over. If the screen reads 0 while the engine is physically spinning, you have confirmed the computer is completely blind. Get under the car and do a heavy visual inspection of the sensor and the wiring harness. Since the sensor is usually mounted right down near the oil pan or transmission bell housing, the wires constantly get snagged by road debris, soaked in leaking engine oil, or completely melted against the hot exhaust pipes. If the visual inspection looks totally fine, use your digital volt ohm meter to check the internal resistance of the sensor against your factory manual specifications. You also want to look closely at that spinning reluctor ring. If a tiny rock got up in there and snapped a metal tooth completely off, the sensor will never read correctly no matter what you do. If the wiring and the ring are totally fine, replacing that dead sensor will bring your engine back to life.